and welcome to the channel, and welcome to the crushing realities of owning a 26-year-old van. This here is my 1998 GMC Safari van. It's been lifted, 4x4 swapped, camperized, and it is the absolute worst. But it's also the best. So in this video, I just want to talk about everything that's involved with owning and van lifing in a 26-year-old van. These vans are not for everybody. So find out if they're for you. First things first, this van is 26 years old and it's a piece of crap. Any vehicle that is 26 years old is going to be kind of a piece of crap. I paid $2,000 for this thing, but that does not make it cheap. In fact, I'm literally making this video as I'm waiting for about $1,000 worth of parts to arrive to my house so I can fix this and get it back up going as good as new. At this point, I do need to make a note that I do all my mechanical work myself, and if you are not prepared to do the work, you either know what you're doing or you're prepared to learn, driving a van like this, crazy. Because it's one thing to buy the parts, but if you're not prepared to do the work yourself and you're paying a mechanic, that stuff is really going to add up. I've had this van for 3 years, and before that, I was in an abusive relationship with a 1995 Toyota 4Runner. And I promise you that if you are driving a vehicle this old, you will have problems. So just know that. Okay, let's get into this van specifically. I told you it was a 1998 GMC Safari van that's been lifted and 4x4 swap. So we'll start our journey, no pun intended, with the Journey's off-road lift. The lift retails for $585. Add some bump stops for $55 because you're going to need them. And you're looking at $600 and it doesn't matter because I'm Canadian and you're paying shipping, duty, and exchange on all that stuff. So get it to my house, it's probably $1,000. But no lift is complete without shocks, so there's another $500 down. And while we're lifting it, might as well do the 4x4 swap. So back on Journeys, $275 for the 4x4 swap kit. And I also needed to buy a $200 transfer case off Marketplace. Otherwise, you're going through a junkyard or you're buying a crazy expensive, brand new refurbished one, which is crazy. Not only that, to complete my lift, I actually needed newer drive shafts from the 1999 and up version. I drive a 1998, trying to save money. So I had to buy the drive shafts to complete that lift too. As we're doing the lift, we have issues. There's always issues. Couldn't get a bolt out. It was seized. Had to take a leaf spring to the shop to get it pressed out and get a new bushing pressed in, along with purchasing new bolts. I also, in the process of lifting it, had to drop my exhaust system. Drop it down, you realize there's holes in the muffler. Well, you might as well get a new muffler while you're at it. And when you're getting your muffler, you got to get an alignment because no lift is complete without an alignment. So you factor all that stuff in and you're still not done. Because I also broke a transmission cooler line doing the lift install. So in order to fix that, I needed a couple adapters and a transmission cooler, which honestly, good idea to do anyways. So that's going to cost you another $100. And these are all the things unexpected, but are almost certainly something is going to happen. Something will go wrong. And I don't think I mentioned tires yet, because every lift, you need new tires. I bought my tires, new used tires, slightly used tires on Facebook Marketplace. I paid $400. You got to get them mounted, balanced. $500 total. That's easily, you could easily expect to spend double if you're buying brand new and if you have to buy rims. Luckily my van already had cool rims, so I kept them, just needed tires. But with all that going in, I spent $3,000 to lift my van and put it on 31-inch tall tires, although it is now a 4x4 swap. But I paid $2,000 for this van to get it up, running, lifted. It's all in $5,000, which is fine. But at that point, my van is still a piece of crap. The van still has a lot of rough edges, like broken door handles, a leaking roof rack, etc. And it's also unreliable. So things you got to do just to make a new to you vehicle reliable, in my opinion, you got to get a new battery. It was old. You got to get all new fluid. I got a thermostat. The very basics to get this thing on the road. And then I take it on my first trip, where it promptly breaks down on me. I'm 20 kilometers up a dirt road with no cell service. Just another reminder that a 26-year-old vehicle can always break down on you at any point in time, even when it's very inconvenient. Anyways, I get it towed back home. Shout out to BCA, and we're back to working on it. I'm now going a little bit deeper into reliability. I replace a fuel pump, fuel filter, spark plugs, wires, distributor cap, rotor. Taken on another trip, breaks down again. Again, a friendly reminder that a vehicle can break down at any point in time, especially when it's old. At that point, I have to bring in some heavy hitters because it is beyond my abilities to fix it. Luckily, I have a friend named Ian who's a certified mechanic, actually worked at GM at the time. So he came, diagnosed a wiring issue. But in the middle of figuring out what my wiring issue was, I replaced some more parts. I got an all-metal distributor. I replaced the ignition control module with one I pulled out from the junkyard. I got a new coil. I bought a second coil just in case the first coil was defective. I also used the downtime to replace the ball joints, which was an absolute nightmare, and I do not recommend it. And frankly, I should have changed the whole control arms, because now that I have new ball joints, I've realized the control arm bushings are still crappy. Along with every bushing on the whole van. Eventually, Ian gets my van up and running. It is now a very good van. Super reliable, a bunch of new parts, riding great. Take it on a road trip. 35 degrees, heat of the day. I'm suffering because I have no AC. Obviously, the AC isn't going to work. The AC parts are literally falling apart in this van. But not only am I hot, engines start to run hot. Going up a hill, I don't want to say I overheated, but it got warm. So eventually when that trip's over, I need a new radiator. It's rusty inside. Yours is probably rusty inside too. And while I'm doing the radiator, I might as well get all new hoses because again, the rubber is all worn out on these vans. New hoses, new radiator, new water pump, new clutch fan. A clutch fan is not just a fan. There's oil in there, and I found out with my old 4Runner that even something you didn't know could leak can leak. So I replaced that. So I have a whole new cooling system. And now we're finally good. But we're not. The van is still rough around the edges. The door handles don't work. The rear door straight up doesn't open. I've had window wiper problems. Had to replace the motor. My driver's side window is very slow to go down. Probably could use a new motor. I've had to replace the windshield because it leaked. And not only did it leak water, it actually whistled on the highway because of the seal leaking. Stuff you don't even expect to go wrong can go wrong. I can just keep listing parts I've replaced. The alternator, the starter, vacuum lines, CV shafts. But I think you get it. I've spent $7,000, probably over $7,000 in parts for this van. And that doesn't even consider the camper build, which if you want a comfortable setup, maybe with a solar panel, you're talking about thousands of more dollars, which is a lot of money to spend on a $2,000 van. A van that still, to this day, has a constant ABS warning light on. It has a constant whine. Maybe it's come from the power steering pump. I'm not sure. The brakes need to be replaced, even the hoses. I need a new idler arm because the original replacement idler arm needs to be replaced. This van always needs something. One cannot just go on a road trip. Having a van like this is a certain level of commitment. It takes time, effort, and sometimes it takes just being straight up inconvenienced. If you're going to drive something like this, you got to want to drive something like this. It's got to be a passion, a way of life. I didn't choose the van life chose me. So with that being said, excuse me, because I got some work to do.